Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We are delighted to have you here and to learn more about our Master of Arts in Bioethics and Medical Humanities. We're going to be focusing on the idea of gap year. So many students who are interested in our program in particular are looking to use this program as a way for using their gap year. And so that's what we're going to focus on today. I do want to apologize. I have a little bit of a cold, and so you might hear me coughing throughout this. I'll try my best to mute when I cough, and I have some water standing by. So I'll introduce myself. I'm Dr. Leah Jeunnette. I am the director of our Master's in Bioethics and Medical Humanities program. I'm also the Assistant Director of Education, and I'm also a clinical ethicist at one of our hospitals here in Cleveland, University Hospital, Cleveland Medical Center. And so that's how I fill my time. I think the other unique thing to know about me is I'm actually an alum of the master's program. And so this master's program holds a special place for me because it was this program that helped me clarify my direction for my career path. And so I love being able to now be on the other side of it and work with students as well. So I just want to cover our agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about Case Western Reserve University and our School of Medicine, where we are located within the school. We're going to focus on what does it mean to have a gap year or gap years, and what really can students get out of that, and how does our program kind of fit into that concept. We'll talk a little bit about the topics of bioethics and medical humanities. We'll do a basic program overview. We'll talk about student assistantships and financial aid, and of course, the application process and deadlines. And we'll also take Q&A. So as we're going, if you are interested in submitting a question, we have a great Q&A feature here in the Zoom program. Feel free to enter your question as we go. I will save the questions to the end and hopefully be able to answer them for you. So let's talk a little bit about Case Western Reserve University School of Medicine. So our School of Medicine is very fortunate to be ranked #1 in Ohio, and we're 24th in the country. We are known for our medical research education. We're very proud of that. I think what's unique about the School of Medicine in particular is that we also collaborate with the other schools significantly across the university. So we collaborate with our Mandel School of Social Work and our law school and Weatherhead Business School and engineering. And we also collaborate with our hospitals throughout the region. And we'll talk a little bit more about the hospitals in a few minutes. But the School of Medicine is a very strong school. In addition to great MD programs, we have a number of master's and PhD programs within the School of Medicine that are thriving, including our own master's in bioethics and medical humanities. So what does it mean to have a gap year? What do students look to get out of gap year? And in talking to students and thinking about kind of what the goals are in a typical gap year option, these are kind of what we've determined. So really, students are looking for a dedicated time that they can focus on their career path, right? So they're looking for something that can really focus in on something particular. They're discovering your interest through discernment. So maybe it's for a student who they're not entirely sure what their career path is, or they're still trying to clarify what it is. They're leaning towards something. And so that is part of what a gap year can lend students. It can do things like experiencing and collaborating across cultures. And there's ways that our program does that as well. You can develop new skills. It's amazing to me how students can use a gap year in really unique ways to really dive into skills that they didn't even know they wanted or needed. You can prepare yourself for next steps like graduate and professional programs. I would say the majority of our students that do our master's program are looking to go on to a graduate or professional program, whether it's medical school, law school, PhD programs, terminal master's degrees, and the like. And then lastly, boosting your professional resume to make you more competitive. So we do have a number of students who are looking to add to their resume in a way that enhances their applications or enhances their overall resume for a variety of things that they may be submitting to. So let's switch gears just a little bit and talk a little bit about bioethics and medical humanities as a field, just to make sure that there's an understanding of kind of the lay of the land and how we think about this within our program. So one of the questions we consistently get is why study bioethics and medical humanities? And I think one of the fundamental things we emphasize is that healthcare impacts us all, whether it's professionally because you work in the healthcare field or in a related field, or on a personal level. And so bioethics and medical humanities is part of that discussion. It's really unavoidable to a certain extent. And ultimately, constant advances in science and technology lead to big questions that are ethical concerns. So some sample questions that we think about are, should we intervene? What kinds of values should inform policy and practice? And a really challenging question to ask is, can we, and ultimately, should we ensure justice and respect for persons in research and clinical practice? And then, of course, there's the ultimate question of, how do you do it then? So if we say we should and we can, how does it get implemented? And all of those things can be quite challenging. So bioethics and medical humanities is a really unique field because it can assist with a multitude of career paths. So the field itself is interdisciplinary, it's interprofessional, both in its origin and in its practice. You'll see a number of folks that are in this field, and none of us have the same kind of degrees. None of us have the same background of experiences, and it really adds to the discussion. So ultimately, we do focus on launching students into their professional careers. So students go on from our program into things like clinical and legal professions, regulatory work, arts and humanities, bioethics, other academic fields, medical history, sociology, anthropology, and discernment for the undecided. I think this is one of the things that our program is very strong in, is discernment for the undecided. We really create a program that allows for this in a really nuanced way, which I'll talk about in just a moment. So, as I mentioned, dedicated time for focusing on your career path is one of the things that people are looking for in a gap year. And we have students who come from a number of undergrad majors and minors and experiences. This is just a very small sampling of students' undergrad backgrounds. And this is a very small samplings of the various career paths that our students go on to. And it's amazing to see how they grow throughout our program, how they harness their undergrad knowledge in our program, and then it drives them in their career path with this bioethics and medical humanities knowledge. The other thing that amazes me is the students that pivot once they start to dive into bioethics and medical humanities, and it helps to clarify what they're looking for as well. So our master's program, we are currently in our 28th year. We are very excited about that. We are one of the oldest master's programs in the country. And that shows in how comprehensive our curriculum is and our program is overall. So for students who complete the program, 1 year is typically the timeline. If you're a full-time student, it's 2 semesters. So you start in August and you can graduate in May. In some students, they may graduate in August and take a course in the summertime as well. We do customize our curriculum. So of the 30 credits that students are taking, typically 15 in the fall and 15 in the spring, approximately 13.5 are electives for students. We also have a required capstone paper, but of course, you as the student would get to choose the topic and identify a faculty reader or mentor to work with you. And one of our amazing components to our program is our short-term study abroad courses. And we'll talk about those in a little bit. The other thing that is well loved from our students is our clinical ethics rotations, which we will focus on shortly. We do offer personalized advising for each student. So we really think about how we pair students to their advisor and who has similar interests or similar backgrounds, and make sure that it's a good fit so they can provide the necessary advising advice. And we do have dual degree options. So we have a number of programs. So students who are already accepted to the MD, JD, Master of Social Work, Master of Public Health, genetic counseling programs can also complete their Master of Arts in Bioethics and Medical Humanities at the same time. You must apply and be accepted to each program separately to be eligible for the dual degree. So when you're discovering your interests through discernment, we really set up our curriculum to do this. So just as a brief overview of the curriculum, we have what we call our traditional program. So this traditional program is kind of the default for all students to enter. So you take Foundations in Bioethics 1, you complete Clinical Ethics Rotations your first semester, Foundations in Bioethics 2 is your second semester, and then you complete a Bioethics and Medical Humanities capstone during the spring. You then have a number of electives and a second semester of rotations. You can see then, if you are interested in a particular topic, there are 4 different elective slots where you can take a 3 credit hour course, in addition to our mini elective, which is a 1.5 course. If you know that you are particularly interested in medicine, society, and culture, which is really our medical humanities focused concentration, or if you're interested in research ethics or in health policy, these allow students to essentially concentrate or specialize in these topics. So some of your elective slots are designated for courses related to the concentration, but you still have a number of electives that would be available to customize your curriculum. I think what's great about this opportunity is that students may take courses and choose electives that fit their future career path. They may take courses that they're trying to explore different career path options. They may take courses on things that they are passionate about and they want to advocate for. They may also take courses in a topic that they will never get the opportunity to take again because they know their future career path. So for instance, my favorite thing is, as an example, is we have many students who are pre-med. Their plan is to go to medical school, and they know during medical school, your focus is really going to be on medical education, science, medicine, patient care, those things, and really learning the clinical skills you need to be a doctor. But knowing legal things can be quite helpful. And so some students really enjoy taking a health law course, and that can be an option for students. So as you saw in the previous slide, we have our clinical ethics rotations, and this really can help you experience culture in a really unique way. So you have 160 hours inside our teaching hospitals here in Cleveland. This number of hours is kind of unprecedented for any other master's program across the country. We have 4 teaching hospitals, so University Hospital, Cleveland Clinic, which are our 2 private hospitals, and then we have Metro Health, which is the county hospital, and the VA hospital, which are our public hospitals. What's great about the rotations is you are assigned 1 hospital in the fall, typically 1 public or 1 private, and then in the spring, you're assigned to a different hospital, so either the opposite, either a public or a private. So you get to experience 2 out of the 4 hospital systems here in Cleveland, 80 hours each semester. When you are in these rotations, you are doing a mixture of rounding with teams in the various ICUs, general floors, interdisciplinary team meetings, and consulting teams. You could be attending ethics committee meetings or institutional review board meetings, things like transplant selection committee meetings. Or you could be going one-on-one with healthcare professionals, so visiting patients, attending meetings, and you have direct time to better understand the ethical issues that they face, whether they are physicians, social workers, chaplains, genetic counselors, nurses, such a variety. And each hospital has a unique list in and of itself. So for instance, University Hospitals has a Rainbows Babies and Children's Hospital, versus your VA is really going to focus on veterans, of course, but veterans tend to be different ages, adults, of course, but there's a lot of geriatric care that goes on. There's a lot of mental health care. There's also a significant amount of spinal injury, orthopedic care that you necessarily wouldn't see at the other hospitals because that is the focus of a lot of needs for veterans. Metro Health has a burn unit, which is unique to the region, and Cleveland Clinic also has unique specialized care as well. So for short-term study abroad, this is also a way to collaborate with cultures. And obviously you would be traveling to a culture to see the differences. So this is a way for students to sign up for one of their electives. There are 3 credits. You would travel potentially during winter break, spring break, or in May. And these courses are 1 to 2 weeks in length. And you really get to dive into the topics of bioethics and medical humanities in a very nuanced way as an intensive course. So for instance, we have courses that go to Netherlands, and one course focuses on drugs, it focuses on detention and decriminalization. And we have a different course that goes to Netherlands that would focus more on death and dying and euthanasia. And so you really get to hone in on the uniqueness of that culture and comparing it to the US context as well. These are very popular courses with our students, in addition to the clinical ethics rotations. So another thing that students are looking for during a gap year, as I said earlier, is developing new skills. And one of the ways students do that is with research opportunities through our program. So we have research active faculty and staff at the local, national, and international level. We have a number of programs that students can get involved in and attend, including getting involved on research projects. So some students come to the program looking to enhance their research skills or learn new skills. A lot of research in bioethics and medical humanities focuses on literature review. It focuses on qualitative skills, coding, transcribing, and learning how to hone those skills and become very adept at those can help students in the next phase of their career path. Because a lot of students, especially those who are pre-med, may have a lot of lab experience. And so having that mixed method research skills is essential for your future career. And then ultimately, we have students who are looking during that gap year to prepare yourself and boost your professional resume. So you're looking to prepare yourself for your career path or other ways. And we do this by scaffolding. So it starts with personalized advising. We really focus on discernment for the undecided. I myself meet with students on a regular basis to talk about their career paths. How can we better support you? What resources can we have? Our faculty and staff are very well connected and can help make introductions. There's a number of ways for students to get involved in local conferences, present at conferences, national conferences, and we encourage students to get involved in those things as well. And we also have a wonderful career and professional development office in the School of Medicine that puts on different events to help students in this endeavor as well. So in terms of the application process, we do require materials for a completed application. It includes transcripts from all undergrad and graduate programs that you have attended. Unofficial transcripts is fine for the application review process. We ask for a personal essay. This statement of purpose, what we're really focused on is what is your interest in bioethics and medical humanities, and how does it fit into your career path? We ask for a CV resume. We ask for 2 letters of recommendation, including one from a faculty or professor that has taught you in a classroom setting. Once we have a completed application, we then have it reviewed by an admissions committee member. And then we offer you an interview with another member of our admissions committee, either by telephone or Zoom. We guarantee an interview for every applicant. We believe that it's important to view our applicants as holistic and not just a name and information on a paper. And so it's our goal during that interview process to get to know you better and to ask questions to look for mutual fit. So not just make sure that you are the right fit for our program, but also to make sure that our program is the right fit for you. So what you're looking to get out of a gap year program, we can offer you. That's really important to us because we don't want to set you up with expectations that we cannot meet. So it's very important for us during that interview process. In terms of financial aid, this question comes up quite a bit. We have a program called student assistantships. This is a pretty rare thing to see for a program of our size at a master's level. So students can apply for our student assistantships. Usually the application launches in January. Anyone who has submitted an application is eligible to apply. And we then award students a partial tuition waiver for teaching, research, or administrative opportunities within our department. Students can earn anywhere from typically $5,000 to $12,000 in a partial tuition waiver. We also have a wonderful financial aid office, and students typically will fill out their FAFSA and go through traditional financial aid options as well. Tuition information is going to be available through the Grad Studies office here at Case Western Reserve. In terms of timeline, we are currently taking applications for fall 2024. Our priority 1 deadline is December 1st. So if we receive your application, we need all the materials, including your letters of recommendation. If we receive all of that by December 1st, our promise is to render a decision before the end of the year, so before the end of 2023. If your application is missing pieces, but they come in during December, we will do our best to review them and render a decision, but we will also communicate with you any changes or delay in that review process as we veer towards the end of the year and holidays, and the university shuts down between holidays. We have other priority deadlines, such as priority two deadline is May 15th. If you want to be eligible for the student assistantship, you need to submit your application by May 15th. The student assistantship application is then due on June 1st. Our final deadline for applications is August 1st, because at the end of August, we have new student orientation, and our fall semester starts on August 26, 2024. So as much as 2024 and particularly August 2024 seems like a ways away, time moves quickly. So we encourage you to get your application in. In general, once we have a completed application package, we can render a decision within 2 to 3 weeks. We are very much committed to rolling admission and getting a decision rendered as quickly as possible. So I want to take time in our last 6 minutes to answer questions. So there's been a couple submitted. If you have other questions, feel free to submit them now. So the first question I see is, how would the Case Western Reserve School of Medicine look upon students who graduated from one of their master's programs in the MD admissions process? That's a great question. It's one we get quite often. So we do not, as a master's program, we do not have a pipeline to guarantee a priority look or an interview for our School of Medicine MD admissions process. I will say, in general, we consistently hear from our students who apply to medical schools across the country, not just Case Western Reserve, that they are continually asked about our master's program. It comes up in interviews, it comes up in their educational time, because it's a unique part of an application. It helps students to stand out. And I think it really adds to a resume. Our program is designated by the AAMC as an enhancer application, an enhancer program for applications. And so that is going to be looked at by all MD programs with favor. I think it's important to remember, though, that because we focus on bioethics and medical humanities, our program is not going to focus on someone who is trying to improve a STEM GPA, or in particular an MCAT score. There are other programs that can do that, and there are ways to study for your MCAT while you're in our program, but our courses do not focus on that kind of education. But that's a great question. Thank you so much for asking. There's another question that came in. How does your program differ from bioethics/medical humanities education that would occur during medical school? It's another excellent question. So I would say that during medical schools, different schools have different priorities given to bioethics and medical humanities in their MD or DO curriculum. They will be the first to admit that it is hard. It is a major challenge to incorporate non-clinical, non-science skills into curriculum, because there is so much to cover within a 4-year curriculum. And so there is just a level at which they are not going to be able to cover bioethics and medical humanities like you would during a master's program. You will be able to dive deeper in the topic and the topics of bioethics and medical humanities. You will be able to have a more nuanced understanding rather than kind of a surface level. And depending on the program that you go to, you may only have one faculty who has an expertise in bioethics and medical humanities, depending on how that school is structured. This is not to discount it. Every school has different funding sources and different structures. Here at Case, because we have a department of bioethics, we have a very nuanced way of incorporating bioethics and medical humanities into our MD curriculum. But even for our medical students that I talk to that complete our MA program as a dual degree, they will be the first to admit that they are glad they did our program because they are able to dive much deeper into the topic, into the areas they want to study, and it really helps to add to their skills and knowledge that they are going to take with them in their future career as physicians. In addition, the number of MD/MA students who report to us that they get asked about our master's program during their residency interviews. I hear this from our students who also do our program and then go on to med school as well. So not only does it come up during interviews for medical school, but it comes up during interviews for residency. So it really does add to your skill and your resume, your skills in your resume in a very nuanced, unique way. So I'm looking to see if we have any more questions. One of the questions we often get is what makes our program unique? What helps us stand out from other programs? And I will say, because we are a program that has been around for 28 years, excuse me, being 28 years has allowed us to really review our curriculum continually every year, look for ways to improve, look to add new features. And so when the program started, we started out with the credits and clinical rotations. And then over time, we added one concentration, and then we added a second concentration. During that time, we've also added study abroad courses. We've added a third concentration. We've added research opportunities for students. So over our 28 years, we've been able to grow our program in a way that is based on student requests, student needs, what is considered best in higher education modality, what is best in practice for teaching and educational opportunities for students. And we can do that over time and not try to do too many things at once so that things get lost in the meantime. So I would say that is one of the strengths of our program in particular. So I'm not seeing any more questions. I will add one final thought, and that is, if you have any particular questions unique to your circumstance, or you think of a question you wished you would have asked later on, please feel free to email me, bioethics@case.edu. I would be thrilled to set up a meeting and talk with you individually about the program, about your specific circumstance, and how our program could be the right fit for you. Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks to those who are watching the recording, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.